What would nature be like if the universe were infinitely large and has existed forever? The first thing is that there would have to be discoverable mechanisms that keep nature the way it is. For example, we see huge stars forming in clouds of hydrogen gas. We might reasonably ask, why is there still hydrogen gas around? If the universe has been around forever, why isn't the hydrogen gas all used up and everything is stars? Well, we have a good example of a star close by. We can look at the sun and see what goes on there. Well, what we see is huge ejections coming out of the sun. Coronal mass ejections. Masses many times as much as the Earth every day. Most of that stuff is protons, hydrogen atoms, less the electrons. And then there's a huge amount of electromagnetic activity that we know has an equivalence in mass ejected every day from the sun. So based upon our own star as an example, it looks like stars are recycling the stuff they're made of. So we see a mechanism in stars that recycle clouds that produce the stars. Then, in addition to that, we see beams of ions and gamma ray energy coming from the galactic centers of spinning galaxies. There is a theory that black holes form in the centers of galaxies, but in a universe that has existed forever, that cannot be. If such a situation could exist, by now there would only be black holes and nothing else. But we know something does exist there, and it's massive enough and violently spinning enough to produce ion beams that come out of the centers. These beams seem to form a halo around galaxies. Some physicists have calculated that this halo may be 1,000,000 light years in size and would distort the gravity of the galaxies enough to produce the galactic spin anomalies that we observe. A supermassive ionic soup spinning near the speed of light at the galactic centers would produce ion beams. The beams produced would be positive in one direction and negative in the direction opposite. We never see that discussed. We might notice that comets coming in from one direction interact with the solar wind to produce dramatically different effects depending upon which charged area of the galaxy they come in from. So we have an easily discovered mechanism that can recycle the universe. But now there's a question: if the universe is infinite in size, why is it that the night sky is not blazing with light, called Olber's paradox? There are two reasons this does not happen. The easy and undisputed reason is that space is full of debris that blocks light. The other reason is that photons gradually lose energy as they produce gravity and change the momentum of objects in space. That is the disputed reason that will be discovered. We see then that each galaxy is a huge recycling dynamo that consumes stars and dust and converts them to gamma ray energy, strips away electrons, and squirts protons in one direction, electrons in another direction, to create huge areas of positive and negative charge on opposite sides of the galaxy. The solar wind leaves the sun at a modest speed, but accelerates outward as it moves. By the time it gets to Earth, it's moving at about 2 million miles an hour. When charged particles collide and cyclotrons that produce all kinds of mass. The solar wind goes out and meets winds from other stars. Collisions are bound to happen. Mass is continuously created in space, so we have a recycling mechanism that not only turns mass into energy, but turns energy back into mass, a complete cycle. So we can find nothing about an infinitely large universe that has existed forever that is not possible within this scenario. So maybe that's the way the universe really is. Makes a lot more sense than a big bang happening out of nothing that in order to have happened must violate just about every physical law that we know about.